Hello there again. Thanks for joining me. Here we are, rather autumnal Sussex weather today. Uh, are we getting back to normal, do you think? I know the summer vacations and holidays are finished now. People are back at their desks, whether those are in home offices or they're actually making an effort to get to the office. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. I've certainly been talking to a lot more people. I'm getting a lot more feedback from industry, which is nice because I've been missing that really. And of course, there are some of the autumn or fall events taking place virtually. Gastech is on at the moment, I believe, and Logichem too. So things seem to be getting back to some sort of normality. Maybe it's a new normal, as we keep hearing about. Horrible phrase, really. And I had some questions from an anonymous viewer, or a viewer who asked to remain anonymous, and who's asking how much has the pace of dangerous goods rulemaking been slowed by COVID? Has each rulemaking body been affected the same? I know, ICAO, UN, etc., etc. Well, it's a good question because this time of year and this year, it being about to be the biennial update, we should be seeing copies of the new regulations. I think some are knocking around in draft format. I have a copy of the IMDG, but I don't think it's final. And for ADR, for instance, there's a depository document gone in, but merely points to the amendments adopted at the previous sessions. Because, of course, the spring sessions of the ADR, RID, ADN joint meeting and WP15 were cancelled because of the coronavirus crisis. In fact, the next joint meeting is due to start on Thursday in Bern. At the moment, it looks like it's still happening, although somebody may have a better idea than I do, and to continue in Geneva next week. Now, theoretically at least, this is the last chance to adopt new changes that will appear in the 2021 regulations. Normally they wouldn't like doing that, in fact, because by now we should have a better idea of what it is we're going to be faced with. But if that doesn't happen, that meeting, and WP15, which is due to meet in the middle of November, which should, according to the normal pattern, be starting work on the next round of updates, then we're stuck with what we've got, and we're going to have to hope that a draft appears before too long, the final version of next year's ADR and RID and ADN, of course. Similarly, the UN Subcommittee of Experts missed its summer session this year. That is due to meet right at the end of November and into December. But your guess is as good as mine, but I would expect that not to happen. There are signs that the COVID virus is spreading again more rapidly, certainly in Europe. And I can't see a lot of people being happy to start booking flights to Geneva at the moment, even if they can get a flight. So we're stuck probably with what, and that means to some extent we'll have a briefer update than we have had in the past. And in some ways, that's a good thing, and I'm sure a lot of people will be happy that there'll be fewer changes than normal. The questioner also posited the question, should a biennial update be scrapped this year? Well, we could do, I suppose. The other thing to consider, I suppose, is that training in the revised regulations is going to be harder because of the difficulty in arranging classroom training sessions. But of course, there are important safety implications in that. One of the reasons that IATA insists on publishing its dangerous goods regulations every year is that there are safety updates that are critical and crucial, and they must be put into the regulations as soon as possible and not wait until the normal biennial cycle to do so. Those who think that actually the reason that IATA wants to do that is because it makes an awful lot of money from selling its dangerous goods regulations have equally have a point. But I can't see that there's going to be a pass on this, although, maybe this is the time to revisit that discussion we've had time and time again about whether maybe a 4-year cycle would be more appropriate, with perhaps the use of other arrangements to bring safety critical changes into the rules. It's something that happens all the time, in fact, in Europe through multilateral special agreements, and could easily be done in other territories, although then you've got the problem of harmonisation. So I can't see it happening, I'm afraid, Miss Anonymous. I think we'll just have to go with what we've got. As I said, the situation is far from clear at the moment. Hopefully it'll be clarified tomorrow. Label Masters DG Symposium, which should be starting, or was scheduled to start in Chicago tomorrow, has gone virtual, and the opening session, which will be streamed live, presumably not from a podium, I think it's Shane Kelly is from the US PHMSA, who's going to be talking about the regulatory updates that are coming from 2021. So if this is your thing and you want to know what's coming down the pipe, as Bob Richard used to say, that would be the place to go to, and I shall certainly be online and watching that. Quite sensibly, they've kept the session short. You don't have to sit in front of your computer all day. So I look forward to seeing any of you virtually online at that tomorrow. The other topic, and this is really quite a different thing that's come to mind lately, and it was prompted in part by a message I had from Paul Gooch a while back, looking at a report of C.H. Robinson, second quarter report written by our friends at the Lodestar, which it said that C.H. Robinson was quite pleased with its half-year results, despite the fact that they were well down on last year, and a lot of it was down to the tireless efforts of its staff. Lodestar noted at the time that not all of those staff members were able to work tirelessly, because half of those who'd been on furlough had subsequently been made redundant. I know this sort of thing is going on. One of my relatives, in fact, is currently in a redundancy consultation at the moment. And I was yesterday speaking to a senior petrochemical industry executive in Germany who said that he'd noticed that there were a lot of churning of personnel with the older guys retiring. They're mostly guys, of course. And some replacements coming in, young people, which is probably a good thing. It's something we've been talking about for the last few years at the EPCA annual meeting, which itself will be virtual, starting, I think, on October the 4th or 5th. And that hopefully will also give some impetus to the process of digitalisation in the supply chain, because one has the feeling that one of the reasons it hasn't moved as quickly as it might have done is that the older, grey-haired, dark-suited men who run the business aren't particularly comfortable with it and want to really go back to the old normal. Well, I don't think we're ever going back to there. Where exactly we're going next, I don't know. But I hope over the next few weeks during these online conferences to be able to find out and, of course, report back to you. That's it for me for this week. Thanks for watching. Stay well. Hope to see you here at the same time next week. Bye for now.